Hi, I'm Harsha Wijayawardhana again. Yesterday, I made a presentation about the searching for the zero, journey through time presentation. I talked about a pocket watch that was presented by the Dutch to our king, the one before the last king, Rajadiraja Singh, who was a Nayakar king, and he was presented with the pocket watch that you see on the left. When I talked about that pocket watch, I said that it will be in Sri Lanka, we kept time using Sinhala pair or Sinhala hours. And also I mentioned about 60 hours a day. Sinhala hours, 60 hours per day. Our day started with the sunrise. Our day ended with the sunrise also. So when we created the horoscope, we normally, if it is after midnight, still it is the yesterday or the day before. The day is actually taken as the day before until the sunrise that morning. Now here that this watch has a very special thing about it. The special thing about it is on the surface of the watch, instead of 12 hours from 1 to 12, and this watch carries the numbers 1 to 30. So basically, there is a 1 to 30, half. So the 30, 20, 10, 20, 30, that was given in with the Sinhala Ilakna. And the other thing I want to highlight about yesterday's presentation, there was one other thing I want to make very important thing about the Brahmi, evolution of the Brahmi numerals. Let me carry it to that particular slide. So what you are seeing here is number 1, number 2. You can see the 2 horizontal line. There's another one here. In Sri Lanka, we don't know whether number 1, we have not found number 1 yet up to now. However, we think we had the number 1. The number 10, there is a vertical number 10 here. Normally, it will be horizontally written in India. And the other ones like here is a number 10, number 20, number 30, 40, 50 is there, 60, 70, 80, and 90. According to our archaeologists, they seem to think that we have, especially Dr. Abhay Arya Singh, of the view that we don't have those symbols. On the contrary, I tend to believe that they are in Sri Lanka, for the evidence for which I will give later. The next one is the Brahmi numerals, which you see that's an additive system. You can see the 4000 and between the 2 Karahi signs. Now, how does it actually basically evolve? Now, this one evolves into this additive system, evolves into multiplicative and additive system. So that century onwards, whatever the inscriptions that you will find, most of it, the majority of them are in the multiplicative and additive system, as using a multiplicative and additive system. Here, this one, which I am pointing to you, is 100. So there are 2 Karahi signs, and these are the column heads. It tells you this particular column basically is 100. And then it's a multiplication of whatever the number that you have. So let's say this is 600. So it's a 6 is here, and you multiply by that 600. But if you look at the extreme right, there is no column head here. So we know it is an index 0. Now imagine this. In Sri Lanka, during the time between 200 and 400, we see a gallow of Brahmi numerals. All of them are basically on the they have written it on basically on the you will find them on basically on the rock inscriptions. However, suddenly they go barren after 400 CE, Common Era. So this is the period where we think there is a lot of activity, a lot of writing was done, but not on the rock inscription. At the same time, this is when the Pallava influence also coming in. Ola leaves are the utensils, basically the paper they used. And like, for instance, 10, if you do it horizontally, it will rip the Ola leaf. Dot will basically kill basically create a hole in the Ola leaf. The other point is that the utensil that you use to write, that is the stylus with a pointed stylus. So because of that, it's easier. Basically, the letters started becoming cursive. So now, from 2nd century onward, though from the fourth century or the 5th century, you will feel that you don't find any on rock inscriptions. There were less. At the same time, the writing, the activities actually may have increased because the letters starting to become cursive. This is the 700 again. So what I want to highlight is the Lit Ilakkam and the Sinhala Ilakkam both can basically evolve into those numeral sets somewhere around between 4th and 8th century. We are also basically, if you go to Watadage, you will find the Sinhala Ilakkam. But then the Lit Ilakkam would have been in use since the 4th century onwards. So I want to again emphasize with the pocket watch that the Sinhala Ilakkam as well as Lit Ilakkam were in existence almost for thousands of years, though that we find them in the Kandyan kingdom. Now let me take you to this. Again, I just want you to look at this part, 605. And this again written in Lit Ilakkam. You can see the similarity, similarities of the shapes of the numerals when you compare. One of the other things that I couldn't mention about is some of the earlier zeros came into existence in the Buddhist kingdoms. And the one that we see, Sri Vijaya, which was a Mahayana Buddhist kingdom. In Sri Lanka, Mahayana did not become, because it did not actually, it did influence, but it did not become the mainstream Buddhism. But we had a lot of influence. We called it a Vaitullavad. But then we actually did a Bodhisattva. The statues were built in Sri Lanka, and especially in Abhayagiri and Jetavanaram. Mahasen, the king Mahasen, was an adherent initially to Mahayana Buddhism. However, later on, it was removed completely from. It was removed from the Sri Lankan. It was clean. Basically, it was removed from the Sri Lankan Buddhism. But then the remnants of it was here. And the zero basically came from the Shunyavata or Shunyavada. So we will be talking about Nagarjuna's Shunyavada and the nirvana and about the language in the next presentation. Thank you. Please write to me to my email. You have the email address, Wijayawardhana@gmail.com. Thank you.